Good evening, I'm Lee Ware, and I'll be speaking to you on the digital alteration of magazine photos. I've seen it, and I know many of you have as well. An extremely thin girl on the Rand lunch line, ordering a salad. No toppings, no dressing. An emaciated girl at Green's throwing away her entire dinner without ever taking a single bite. Finally, a severely underweight girl seen running, and later still running over 3 hours afterwards. While the data remains slim about eating disorders on campus due to a reluctance to report or even speak about the issue, taking a simple look around you is enough to see that this is a problem that many students face. Today, I'm here to explain to you that our whole country has a problem with young girls' body images. This leads to an extremely high number of eating disorders and can be contributed to by the media's overuse of the digital alteration of magazine photos, which alters already thin models to physically impossible standards of perfection. To help remedy this problem, the Federal Trade Commission should require a disclaimer on all digitally altered photos. After working with a magazine or fashion designer, as well as writing a weekly fashion article, I've seen these countless images that contribute to this problem, and I've researched the ways we can fight the rising pressure from the media. First, I'll explain to you the gravity of our body image problem in America. Second, I'll show how the media contributes to this. And third, I'll explain to you why the Federal Trade Commission should require a small disclaimer on these photos. Right now, I'll explain to you the gravity of America's situation. In America, our society suffers from a wide-ranging problem of poor body image in young girls. According to the National Association of Eating Disorders, when a person has poor body image, they look in the mirror and see an inaccurate reflection, which drives them to diet even if they are dangerously thin. Once someone has become entrapped in these vicious cycles, it becomes a lifelong struggle, with them developing an intense fear of gaining weight, even if they are drastically underweight. This fear can grip them so tightly that they diet until they reach the point of starvation. The National Association of Eating Disorders also reports that the death rate for anorexia is higher than that of the rate for any other psychiatric illness, with an estimated 20% of those suffering from anorexia dying prematurely from complications related to the disorder, including heart disease as well as suicide. Since I've just shown you how this poor body image can lead to serious consequences, let me explain to you how the media contributes to the problem. One of the factors that exacerbates this problem in America is the media's perpetuation of this impossible standard of beauty. The media is one of the largest influences responsible for our culture's standard. According to the Journal of Social Issues, a sociocultural model emphasizes that the current societal standard for thinness, as well as other difficult to achieve standards of beauty for women, is omnipresent in the media, and, without resorting to extreme behaviors, all but impossible for any woman to achieve. These ideals can be found in movies, television, billboards, and one of the most important mediums for body image, magazines. The International Journal of Eating Disorders reports that 47% of 5th to 10th graders want to lose weight simply because of magazine photos. An even scarier statistic from the Journal of Adolescent Health reports that 82% of 10-year-olds are afraid of becoming fat. These young, impressionable girls have begun to regard themselves as imperfect and unattractive because of the magazine photos they are viewing. Let me ask you, is this the message that we want to receive? Whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, is this the message that you want your children, your daughters, to receive? The unbelievable level that the use of Photoshop has reached is evident in a few important cases. Ralph Lauren, one of the largest retailers in the US, recently bore the brunt of a lot of scrutiny because of their Photoshop tactics. For one of their models, Philippa Hamilton, Ralph Lauren Photoshopped her to the point that her head is larger than her waist. She appears entirely emaciated, although in real life, Philippa is extremely thin, at 5'10" and only 115 pounds, making her a tiny size 0 or 2. Additionally, in the photo, the width of her shoulders is twice as large as the width of her waist. This photo is completely unnatural and perpetuates an image that no human could obtain. Mere weeks after this photo bore such scrutiny, a second photo surfaced, yet again from Ralph Lauren, of Valentina Zalavia, a Russian model. Valentina was photoshopped to the point that her hand is wider than her thigh. The use of this first and second photo shows just how rampant this problem has become. These two examples are just a small portion of the problem, which perpetuates this unrealistic ideal, And the American public deserves to know when they are viewing something that is a false representation of reality. So I've shown you how the media can contribute to this problem. Finally, let me present to you the solution. I'll show you how we can help this problem with a disclaimer placed by the FTC on all digitally altered images to be used in advertising and magazine publication. This disclaimer would be required to be visible but would not destroy the beauty of the image. The disclaimer would be in an 11-point font placed in the bottom right-hand corner of the page so that the consumer would know where to look for the disclaimer and would be able to tell how much reality is in the image that they are viewing. This disclaimer would be similar to other methods used by the FTC, such as the Fair Packaging and Labeling Act, which aims to protect consumers. This act is said to regulate labeling, the listing of the location of the manufacturer, and the description of ingredients, all in order to prevent consumer deception. In addition, this disclaimer is also similar to the FTC's False Advertising Act, which defines false advertising as not only representations made or suggested by statement, word, design, or any combination thereof, but also the extent to which the advertisement fails to reveal the facts. Because digitally altered photographs mislead the viewer into this false sense of reality, quite simply, they fail to reveal the facts. This proposed disclaimer would also come with a punishment for those magazines and print advertisers that fail to put the disclaimer on their altered images. Due to the similarities between the disclaimer and false advertising, the proposed punishment for using digitally altered photos without the disclaimer would be the same as for any other misleading advertisement. First, an initial order from the FTC to stop printing the misleading material, and an order to disclose additional information, which, in this case, would be the original unaltered photograph. Second, if the organization fails to comply with these demands, they would then be subject to fines, which would be determined by the FTC on a case-by-case basis. In the past, some false advertising fines for large companies such as Delta have been set at the level of around $100,000. Therefore, these fines would be set around the same level. If any company had a second or third offense, the fine could then double or even triple. Now, there may be some of you that think requiring a disclaimer on these altered images is just too harsh of a regulation. However, I'd like to explain to you the method that's been attempted in Australia. In December, Kate Ellis, a minister for the Australian government, announced in her media release a voluntary industry code of conduct as part of her campaign for body confidence. This initiative states that if an organization meets body-friendly guidelines, they can then use a certain symbol in their advertising to denote that they don't digitally alter their photos. This completely voluntary code of conduct rewards the positive, but yet it does nothing about the negative. Unfortunately, this has made the initiative completely ineffective, with 0 magazines having adopted the symbol in the 6 months since its creation. This goes to show that our serious problem of digital altering will not be curbed by an initiative that lacks teeth. Instead, it needs an initiative with consequences for the organizations that are perpetuating this body image, namely, the initiative that I've proposed. In conclusion, I hope you've seen today how serious the problem of American body image really is, how it's attributed to by the media, and how placing a disclaimer on these altered images could help curb the problem. It is our right to know what we are being sold. And if what we're being sold is images of girls that could never even physically exist, then it is our right, our children's right, and our daughter's right to know that too. Thank you.